What the heck is up, you guys? It's your boy Ace, aka Animated Heroes here, back with another action figure review. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Kaiyodo Revoltech My Hero Academia, or Boku no Hero Academia, Shigaraki Fraud Tomura. And you guys already know how these videos go. Let's go ahead and take a look at the sexy packaging so we can bust this figure out and see what it's all about. Now, just like all of Revoltech's packaging lately, the box is whack, man. It's something that we're just going to have to get used to, and there's no point in really repeating it in any other reviews. But as you guys can see, we've got an image of the figure right here on the side with a cool-looking background. Everything else is kind of grayed out and plain. It does say Revoltech Amazing Yamaguchi Kaiyodo at the top. Shigaraki Tomura, they need to put fraud in there. It does have an image of him right here along the side. Nothing much going on at the top, nothing much going on at the bottom. Few images right here along this side, and then of course on the back we got some poses we could get the figure into, the accessories, and then a bunch of stuff at the bottom that does not matter. But yes, if you want to know where I got this figure, it was imported from Ami. So yeah, for the people that always ask, there's an answer. I will try to include that in every review. No promises, because I do forget. But anyway, let's bust this figure open so we can see what he's all about. Now, straight out of the packaging, I'm going to be honest with you guys. First thoughts on this figure are that it actually looks so much better in person than in the promo images. When I saw the promo shots for this guy, the only reason that I really picked it up is because he's quote unquote the main villain. Now, in my opinion, the main villain is really All For One, which is exactly why I say Shigaraki's a fraud. Bro ain't really the main villain of his own series, but that's neither here nor there. Taking a look at the figure, man, again, it just looks really good in person. Some of the things that I thought looked off in the promo images are just not quite fulfilling, looks so much better in person. And that is yet another reason why I tell everyone, buy the figures, man. You might enjoy it more than you think. It's always good to experience a figure before you ultimately just pass on it. And then once you see everyone else enjoying it, you realize you've completely missed out on it because it has reached a price that you're just not willing to pay. So I tell everyone, pre-order their figures. And this is one of those where I'm glad I pre-ordered this guy. I don't think he sold out, but I mean, you never know with these My Hero figures, man. My Hero is crazy right now. So, yeah. But this guy looks dope, man. And let's go ahead and take a closer look at him so we can examine some of the details. Now, taking an up-close look at this guy, I really thought that this hair sculpt looked very whack, man. And sometimes even photography doesn't do it much justice, because some of the photos I've seen of this figure still haven't really sold me on it. But now that I have it in hand, this is one of those where I'm like, okay, I'm very glad that I picked this up, because I really love the detailing in the face, which sometimes the photography just doesn't capture. And I do think that Revoltech actually failed to capture the details as well, because I don't think it was very apparent in any of their photos. Now, the cape on this guy is probably the only thing that I really dislike, just because I don't like when they do it in a bunch of plastic chunks like this. Of course, it's going to help with articulation. And then from the front, it doesn't look too bad, but it just looks very blocky at certain angles, like right here. Then you've got this piece that's supposed to tuck into the neck that kind of sticks up sometimes. I don't know, man. I don't like the way that they do their capes. Now, I could see why they wouldn't do this one as a soft goods, just because it could be very problematic. But I do wish that they had found, or it just went with at least one solid plastic piece. Now, when it comes to the torso, he looks good, man. I really have no complaints here. He is a skinny swole. You got the muscles going on, but he's also built like a twink. But I mean, Shigaraki's a very skinny dude, which is exactly why most people don't really see him as threatening until that boy infused himself with a bunch of quirks, which again, given to him by All For One, who's the main villain in my opinion. I love what they did with the battle damaged arm here. It looks painted very, very nicely, so that's cool. You got the purple arms showing that it's definitely been through battle. Then you got this right here, which, what is that, bro? Like, what's I don't know what's going on here. To be honest with y'all, I don't remember why he lost 3 fingers, but ain't no dude with 3 fingers finna be beating me, man. It definitely looked like a scene off a scary movie, trying to help somebody up. Give me your hand, ass pose. Like, I don't like this, man. This is exactly what it's given, but it is what it is. Anyway, when it comes to the pants, they look pretty good. I do have one issue here too. Now this piece sits up a little higher, but this other piece right here definitely is causing some gapping. So I don't like that, man. I hate when these figures have gaps. And I can't get it to sit upward. And so you just kind of see on the inside of the pants. That's one issue that Revoltech constantly has with their figures. They really need to work on the gapping, man. Most of the time, it's not too bad, but this right here really bothers me. And I don't know, I really don't see any way of getting around it, because this right here is all one piece. It's not like it pegs in here. So yeah, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, then, or if it doesn't bother you, then it is what it is. Another issue I have is the legs, yo. He's got the kind of muscular superhero legs, and they honestly don't match the body. Now, one thing I'm thinking is it might be because of whatever this piece right here on the side of the thigh is. Maybe this is like some armor he's got going on, and if that's the case, then it makes sense. I don't know, I gotta go back and look at some promo artwork for this guy, but the legs definitely look a little too bulky, so not really a fan of those because they don't match the proportions of the upper body. That's just a personal thing. And then the knees. Don't like these little knee pads that they give a lot of their figures. I wish they would go around that and just stick with that single joint that gets double jointed range that they do use for a lot of their figures. I feel like that's just the way to go. Everything else looks fine. A bunch of extra cuts in places that I think could have been avoided. I definitely think they could have made this all one piece and then just split it in half instead of 2 different pieces, where you kind of see some of the ankle just sticking out or the calf sticking out. Looks a little weird. Boots look fine, no issues with those. It's just, it looks weird in some areas, but it's strange. Well, I don't know. It just looks like a good figure, but certain areas are done very strangely. And I know that sounds very contradicting, but I mean, that's typically what you get with Revoltech. You get a whole lot of somewhat unnecessary engineering, but it can look good. Now, anyway, I've talked about the aesthetics for quite a while. Let's go ahead and put him back so we can see how tall he stands. Now, when it comes to the height on this figure, I don't think he's supposed to be that tall. To the top of his head, he actually stands right at about 6 inches, which I think is fine. I want to say the Deku figure is a little bit under that. I don't have the Revoltech Deku. I sold that one a while ago because it was just a QC mess. But I did pre-order the re-release that is coming sometime this year, so maybe I'll throw these two in some pictures together. But as of right now, the only comparison for Deku that I'm going to have is the Figma, which I'll show once we get to the size comparisons. And of course, I'll show off some other Revoltech figures from the My Hero line as well. When it comes to the articulation, you don't have very many limitations, but they do start at the head. And I say that because of the design. First off, he looks up about that much, looks down about that much. He does get tilt and turn, but it's still not going to be the best because of the collar piece. Now, speaking of the collar piece, I don't like the cape, man. I think I made that clear. But this piece right here just rises a whole lot. And be careful with it, because I feel like the more you move it around, the less you're going to pay attention to the fact that this cape is scraping up against the hair. And the last thing you want is for some of the red paint to get into the white hair. That would be tragic. So yeah, be wary of that. And when it comes to the cape, the articulation is fine. It is on a hinge, which is just, it's terrible, yo. I don't care how you pose this thing. It doesn't look good. The cape is just not good at all. I don't dig this. I wish they would have gone with some other way of engineering this, but it is what it is. It's just 2 hinges that blow inward, outward, and then you can kind of turn them. But because of the design, you really gotta just kind of mess with it, and it does look ugly in certain poses. So I'm just gonna take these off. And speaking of taking them off, they do come off way easier than I would like them to. So another thing, be wary of that. Now when it comes to the arms, They go up and out about that much. He does have a shoulder swivel. It is not at the bicep just because of the arm design. Single jointed elbow, double jointed range, so that's good. The hands are on a hinge and they move around just fine, so no issues there. At the diaphragm, he moves around very well, can crunch forward about that much, which is good. Leans back very well. The sculpt does continue all the way, so I absolutely love that. And crouching, all of that is great. He does turn at the waist. He does lean forward at the waist as well, so that's cool. Kicks forward about that much, which is perfect pretty much. Doesn't kick out too much just because of the design, which I think this is fine. That's about to be expected. He does have a thigh swivel. Mine is a little tough, and it actually popped the leg off when I tried to utilize it, but it is in there. As you can see, the slit is there for him to use it. So yeah, it is there. Maybe I'll actually, there it is, just like that. There it is. It's tough. I would say heat this up before you try to do it, but there it is. Anyway, the knee bends perfectly. That knee bend is awesome. I just wish that they cut the cap off the knee because it's completely unnecessary for characters wearing skin-tight clothing. He does have a swivel right here at the, actually, that's not even just a swivel. That's like a peg. I think it's pegged in there. I'm not entirely sure, but it is right here along the bicep area. Not bicep area. What am I even trying to say? I don't know. At the lower leg, it's right there. So yeah, the calf is what I was trying to say. My brain's all over the place. Anyway, at the boot, he doesn't have any kind of articulation right here. So I don't expect that. The foot goes down about that much, up about that much. Decent ankle rocker, and then he does have a toe hinge. So articulation wise, for the most part, you can get this guy in any pose you're going to want him to. The only limitations are going to come at the head just because of this ridiculous cape. Now, when it comes to accessories, this is where I run into my next issue with this figure. First off, he comes right out of the packaging with this kind of smirking-ish face and a pair of, I guess, relaxed hands. And then he comes with two other smirking faces. The only difference is that he's kind of looking off to the side, but they pretty much are identical. And so you get three smirking faces with this guy for no reason. I mean, he's not smiling all the time. And then if that wasn't enough, he comes with yet another kind of more sinister smirking face. And then he does come with probably the best expression, which is one where he's kind of yelling, laughing, whatever you want to use it for. I think this is actually based on one of the volume covers where it looks like he's laughing and he's really excited after awakening his new abilities. So that's the only one that, in my opinion, is actually cool. He does come with several sets of hands. He comes with two fists, two kind of reaching, grabbing-ish type hands, and then two kind of fingers spread out hands. They could have kept this last one on the bottom with the two fingers. They could have kept that, yo. Like, what is he gonna do with it? Never mind. Anyway, he comes with an interchangeable hairpiece, which I think this is cool. This is where it's more windswept. This is really dope. I do dig this. Again, I think it's actually meant to go with the faceplate where he's just kind of laughing and going crazy, because I think that they look good together. Yeah, that's not showing off well enough. So we're gonna ignore that I did that. Anyway, he does come with this piece that pegs into the back, and this is for when he utilizes these tendril techniques here. I don't remember what this quirk is, but basically he uses it to impale Bakugo at one point, and then I think he uses them again. I'm not entirely sure, but it's basically from another stolen quirk. And then the last thing he gets is this kind of cool accessory, actually, where he is utilizing his destruction quirk, and this is where he basically palms the ground and he's getting ready to destroy everything. So this is cool. I definitely wish it was a whole lot bigger, but I mean, it is what it is. You get the gist of what it is, so I guess that's enough. The purple looks very good. That's one thing I do want to say. I love the translucency. Everything looks very, very clean in here, but at the end of the day, what did he really accomplish with this technique? Let's be real. Again, he's a fraud. You only really kill Crust with this, but it is what it is. Moving on to some size comparisons, here he is standing next to the Figma My Hero Academia Deku, which is definitely a better looking figure than the Revoltech, but in terms of posability, obviously it's not even close. We also have him standing next to the Revoltech My Hero Academia Todoroki and the Revoltech Bakugo. Now, as we all know, Tamashii Nations has made Deku. They're also making Bakugo. And I honestly can't wait to see what they would do with Shigaraki, because I definitely feel like they would make this version. And so that'd be sick to see. Tamashii Nations, jump on that. Next up, here he is standing next to the Revoltech My Hero Academia Hawks, the Revoltech My Hero Academia All Might, and the Revoltech My Hero Academia Endeavor. And as you can see, All Might and Endeavor practically tower over him, as they are supposed to. And now, last but not least, here Tomura Shigaraki is standing next to some other fraudulent villains from really good series. Next up, we have him standing next to Fraud Kuna, who is currently the biggest fraud in modern day shonen. If you read the manga, you'll know why. Otherwise, we're not going to get into it. We also have him standing next to Suguru Geto, and this man is a fraud just because he thought that he was going to be the main villain of the series and ended up losing to the main character who ultimately wasn't the main character. And so that's exactly why he's a fraud. And then we got Orochimaru, who is simply a fraud because he was the main villain all of part 1, got defeated in part 2, then came back and tried to turn over a new leaf. Now, if we're being honest, the real fraud is the third Hokage, because Orochimaru legit brought him back to life during the 4th Great Shinobi War after killing him in part 1, and he really allowed that Hiruzen. Oh, nah, it could not be me. But anyway, moving on to my final thoughts. Now, when it comes to my final thoughts on this figure, I'll be honest with you guys, man. This is one of those ones where I am super conflicted, and I say that for multiple reasons. I can acknowledge the fact that this figure has quite a few problems, or maybe more so just things that I specifically dislike, but at the same time, I am still able to find a lot of enjoyment in posing this guy around, man. And it's weird. That's literally my only dilemma when it comes to Revoltech figures. You can acknowledge the fact that they have problems, but at the same time, there's just so much joy to be had, especially when it comes to the fact that, for the most part, they have endless posable options. Now, the only limitations you're really going to get out of this guy are a bit at the legs, and then, of course, the head, just because of the cape that he wears. There's really not much you can do about that, but other than that, you can pretty much pose this guy freely. He comes with a decent amount of accessories. He actually looks so much better than I was expecting him to, man. I'm gonna be honest with you guys when I say this. Those promo images really did this figure no justice at all, man. And it has me looking forward to all of the next releases, yo. I can't wait to see how Dabi turns out. Toga looks outstanding. Ochiko looks outstanding. Mirko, I'm gonna pick it up. I said I wasn't, but I'm definitely gonna pick that one up. I really want to see how far Revoltech continues to go, especially considering the fact that now Tamashii Nations is hot on their trails because their Deku and their Bakugo figures look amazing, yo, and that's no pun intended. But yeah, they've been killing it for a while. I do wish they would do some things a bit different when it comes to the aesthetics, especially these knees. I'm not a fan of the knees. I'm used to the arms by now, so I'm okay with that. But I truly feel like if Revoltech would just switch it up a tad bit, then I don't know, even Tamashii Nations might not be able to keep up with them, especially considering the fact that they're having to do accessory packs to add on to what Revoltech is already giving us for the same price Tamashii Nations is charging us for their figures. But it's up to you which of these you like more. I think SH Figure Arts are always going to look better than Revoltech, but Revoltech is going to pose better and come with more accessories. And so, I don't know, that might be a discussion for another video, but for the time being, do I recommend this figure? Yes, I do. I definitely recommend this figure despite some of the issues that I discussed. The number one being the cape. The cape is just annoying to deal with. If you can find a way to throw a soft goods cape on this guy, then it's going to be a magnificent figure. If not, I still feel like you can find enjoyment in it. You just have to kind of pose it around and get it to look the way that you want it to. I truly hope that at some point they get better with the designs on their plastic capes. They've been bad since their Batman figure years and years ago. But overall, hope that you guys enjoyed this review. If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up because that always helps me out. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Make sure to hit that bell icon so that you're notified whenever I upload new content. And last but not least, follow me on everything you see listed in the description below to keep all of my activity outside of YouTube. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Stay safe wherever you are, and bye.